It's Aaron from Knights of Last Call. Today we're very excited to talk about our new and sixth zone for the Northern Reaches, the Desolation. Now, if you don't know what the Northern Reaches is, the Northern Reaches is the mega Pathfinder 2e campaign that the Knights of Last Call runs on their Patreon. You have to be a member of the Patreon to participate, but if you're interested in learning more about the mega campaign or all the other benefits that patrons get for supporting the channel, check out the links below to learn more. Northern Reaches has about 24 different game masters, around 90-ish or so players. Currently there are about 7 to 12 games running a week, and they run at all kinds of different times, including right now in the middle of the day. There's actually a game going on right now. So we try to make sure that we have some games that are European friendly if you're in a different time zone, and if you're in continental American time zones, there's usually plenty of games available. So if you're interested, check it out. It's also not just for advanced players. We encourage new players and new game masters. We have a lot of skilled game masters, but we also have some game masters who started Northern Reaches as a player and got really interested in game mastering and actually picked it up. So we try to encourage growth of game mastery skills as well in the community, and we have a lot of great mentors that are available for people who are interested and just haven't taken that step to try it yet. So check it out. If you want to learn more, there's also a bunch of different videos on this channel that you can watch to get a wider taste of what's going on in Northern Reaches. So today we're going to talk about the Desolation. What is the Desolation? How did it come to be? Well, first let's give a little bit of background information on what happened with this. So I will say, 3 months ago I was not expecting to make a hell-like zone for the campaign, but one of the charms of this campaign is even the game masters have no idea where it's going to go. In the time since this campaign has started, players have started a civil war, led clockwork machinations back to town, and basically brought in technology that unlocked things like inventors and gunslingers, and now have perhaps unknowingly unleashed the forces of hell upon the campaign. So Northern Reaches uses a concept called clocks, which if you've ever played Forged in the Dark kind of games, clocks are a way of measuring progress with different things. And one of the things that can happen with an adventure is that a new campaign clock starts. And these typically can dramatically change how the rest of the campaign unfolds. And keep in mind, one party of adventurers goes in adventures and they start or progress or finish a clock. That impacts potentially everyone else in the campaign. So these are big changes. And that's what happened here. There was a devilish figure making deals with players in one of the areas of the Northern Reaches called the Broken Coast. And in the Northern Reaches, players have extra lives. And this is done for basically logistic reasons. When you have this many different game masters, these many different players, it can be hard to make sure everything works the way as expected. And we wanted to make sure that players felt a little bit of protection when playing the game, that they wouldn't just lose a cherished character because they didn't understand, something that their game master was running or something that was going on in the adventure. And likewise, we wanted to make sure that game masters didn't feel like they had to play and run their games on edge because, they might accidentally kill a player who spent a very long time investing in and playing in a lot of different adventures. So all of our player characters have 3 lives. You have 2 extra lives and basically your 1 normal life. And then after that, you're dead. And this has led to many interesting adventures where, characters were defeated but not completely removed. And it allows game masters to basically play fully and fairly, right? They don't hold back punches because, listen, a player who brings a character with 1 life into that adventure, they knew what they were signing up for. Now, what we've also done with these lives is use them for trade. And this devilish figure was offering players who made the bargain the free archetype variant in exchange for 2 of their lives. pretty powerful variant if you're familiar with it. Basically, if you're not familiar with it, it gives you additional feats every time you receive a class feat that you can only spend on an archetype. So it allows basically kind of like, think of it as like a secondary class for your character, right? You can use it to multi-class. You can use it for archetype-specific feats like Beastmaster, for example. And this was a clock, and there was only a limited amount, 13 available slots for this. So 13 of the players in the game, the entire campaign, could take this deal. Now, the players knew that this wasn't a good clock. Clocks are typically broken up into two sections, good things and bad things, and they're color-coded. And they knew that this clock was bad. They didn't know why it was bad, but they knew it was bad, and that if it completed, bad things might happen. And as the game master overlords, that's who the knights are. We don't get to play in the game, but we kind of make sure that the campaign runs. We didn't know where this was going to go. It was obviously a trap, so I kind of thought that maybe the players wouldn't complete the clock. But I guess never second guess player ambition, because 13 willing souls gave them up to receive additional power and completed that clock. And today we're unveiling the consequences of doing so. Because that clock completed, there is a new zone now called the Desolation. The Desolation is an area that once was a beautiful, fertile, large kind of forest and unspoiled land to the west beyond the Twilight Mountains. And now it is a ruined hellscape. The portal to hell was ripped open thanks to the energy of these extremely powerful souls, and the devils have begun their invasion into the mortal world. The portal ripped open right into the middle of a volcano, which erupted and basically just devastated this land and just turned it into a place of death and ash. So, hell is invading now, and the forces of hell are building up their armies of devils to begin their mortal invasion, starting, of course, with the city of Northport. We'll have to see now what the players do about that. But of course, with great danger comes great reward, and this land is now infused with planar energies and things from beyond this world. The same types of ancient magics that enticed those who traded their souls to begin with. And so there are powerful new options available to players who adventure in the Desolation that will allow their characters to grow beyond what is typically available to them in the traditional game. So excited to see where player ambition takes them going from there. All right, so with that, I would like to jump into the guide and kind of show you a little bit about what is being released. And this guide is available to anyone playing Northern Reaches. So if you're a member of the Patreon, you will receive this shortly, and you can flip through it. This is for players and game masters alike to kind of help prepare you for either playing or running adventures in the Desolation. So this guide follows a similar format to the Northport guide that we released earlier, but there's a little bit more meat in this one. And what we wanted to do is try to experiment with a couple new systems, as well as do some things to help prepare game masters for this area. So the Desolation is what we would consider the penultimate zone of the Northern Reaches. It's I guess if you could say it's an end game zone. We never expected the Northern Reaches to be quite as popular as it has been, and we also, to be honest, didn't expect the characters to be quite as powerful as they have been. We kind of thought that this campaign would end around 10th level or so, and we already have characters that are 7th level, possibly 8th. So we wanted to make sure that those players and characters had something to keep them challenged and keep them to really test their limits, right? And that's what this zone is. It may not be for everyone, because it is going to be a little bit more difficult, but for those players and characters who are looking for a challenge, but also looking to just really build up their characters, we think you're going to like what you see here. In addition, For game masters, we wanted to make sure that you had more tools than usual to build up the zone to make it this great challenging experience. And so this book is packed full of information that you can use, and it's all optional. So there is multiple sections on encounters, including set encounters, random encounter tables, and how to kind of run those encounters. And you can pull these into your own game, use your own encounter tables, ignore it. It's still your table, so run it as you want, but hopefully this gives you guys kind of some ideas or inspiration, or even a helping hand if you don't have a lot of time to prep, to run some very awesome adventures here in Desolation. The book covers a couple different areas. First of all, it gives you a map of the whole region, which is very large, the largest region outside of the main campaign that we've released since the start of the campaign. It covers the new system of resources. Resources are very rare items that the players can come across during their travels in the Desolation, and they can use these resources to trade them in for benefits that greatly empower and frankly break their characters. We then have an encounter section that goes over general encounters and guidance and how to run some of these, as well as some set encounters that GMs can pull in if they want in their games. We then cover the Desolation, which is the main campaign area for this region. It's actually broken up into 5 smaller regions, which we'll go over later in this video. And then the last section is the mega dungeon within Zone 6 called Deathfire Mountain, and that's the volcano itself. So the ultimate goal of the players is to basically reach this volcano and explore its depths. So with that, let's just jump right into this. So first section, resources. This goes over the 5 uncommon resources and 5 rare resources that players can find on their adventures. It covers all the rules with that, because there's a few limitations with this about how much the players can carry and how many they can take back, how they are generated, how they're made available, and any limitations there are on trading. So there are a few in here, so make sure that game masters and players both understand how these work, because part of this is you can't just go and find all the resources at once and go and break your character. It's going to take a little bit of investment and time to do this, as well as exploring the different areas. The resources are typically keyed to the various areas, so you're going to need to move around all the different places in the Desolation. Uncommon resources are typically available in the main area, and usually at least one is going to appear when you go on an adventure, but there's always a chance for more, and depending on which region you're in determines the chances of getting other resources as well. The rare resources are much harder to come by. They're not guaranteed that you'll find them in the main area, though they become more likely to happen if you're adventuring in the mega dungeon, if you're adventuring in Deathfire Mountain. And basically, characters are going to want to level up and and build their characters to survive Deathfire Mountain, because that's where the real treasure is. And of course, that's where the most dangerous of threats are as well. Once you've collected enough resources, you can turn them in along with some time and gold to unlock some very powerful benefits. And these benefits range from things like bonus feats that you just get to add on top of any feats you've already had, as well as unlocking things like free archetype if you didn't make the deal with the devil earlier. You can also do things like increase your proficiency. So no longer is the fighter the only one that can max out their attack proficiency. Other characters can make investments and improve their various skills, proficiencies, traditions, gain additional feats, and even unlock very powerful magic items that typically would be outside the level range of the campaign. Benefits cost unique resources, but they also cost traditional resources such as gold, time, and in some cases, those extra lives. So characters who want to unlock the most powerful options are going to have to make some big sacrifices, but their characters will just be more powerful. So this section of the rulebook covers the specifics of how these different options work, and any limits or other restrictions with it, and allows players to hopefully make some interesting decisions. The next section is the encounter section, and this is hopefully a good tool for game masters to use when they are building their adventures. And it covers using general encounters, which, would be your traditional creatures and whatnot, as well as some more set encounters. So if you are a member to Patreon and you've had a chance to read our first issue of Battle Cry, which came out last month, some of this should hopefully look familiar to you. And this is an example of taking some of those techniques and putting it into play. So again, this is just a tool for game masters. Feel free to change this however you want, or not use it at all, or use it exclusively. It's up to you. We just hope that this helps inspires your games. In this section too is a special part for the branded. That's the name given to the players who took the original deal. So the 13 branded have a special power while they're in the Desolation, which is pretty significant. It really allows them to kind of change their fortunes. It comes with some severe risks, but we wanted to make sure that those characters who did basically cause this got a little bit of compensation for their pain, given now that they've just sucked hell in, sucked the whole world into hell. So if you're branded, make sure you check out this section to see that extra boon that you got. The general encounter section covers things of just like how to run creatures and makes some suggestions such as encounter conditions. Again, if you've read Battle Cry, this should look familiar. But what this does, along with the reaction roll section, is really allow game masters to run dynamic encounters. Not every encounter for creature is going to be a fight, not even with a devil. Yes, devils are evil and they're here to invade and to kill and to slaughter or enslave, but they have motivations and they have situations of their own that may change the dynamics of how you encounter them. This allows other skills to come and play, allows other types of thinking and tactics to come up, and really just makes your session truly unique. So I highly encourage you guys to read this, and if you can, pick up that issue of Battle Cry, because it really has a way of bringing your games to life, bringing your NPCs alive. And as a game master, one of the most exciting things you can do is be surprised by your own game. Be surprised by what happens by letting the dice kind of help shape that story a bit and giving your players options that are more than just if they should flank or not. So highly encourage you guys to delve deeper into this section and to explore how it can work in your game. The unique encounter section covers all the different types of kind of special set encounters that can happen. Even within these, there are some dynamic elements to it, such as percentage chances of finding treasure or additional threats or even survivors from this devastation that happens. So even if you generate one of these encounters multiple times, there's a good chance that they're going to end up playing out differently. There's a lot in here. It's actually one of the larger sections of the book, so I encourage you guys to dive in. Lots of different ways that can kind of become mini adventures on their own. So, and again, if you don't like these, you can change them or ignore them. These are just here to be a tool for game masters. Moving on to the next section, we have the Desolation, and this part of the book goes over all the different main areas in this zone. And there's basically a page on each area, and it covers a description, a level range. It also gives you the resource table, so you kind of know what resources are available in that region. This is good for players, so they know where they want to adventure, and this is good for game masters, so they know what they should reward. And it also has a specific random encounter table just for that section. Now, again, if you haven't read Battle Cry, you may be thinking, oh, random encounters, this is just a fight generator. No. Now, some of these are creatures, and some of these are typically hostile creatures, but even then, depending on what you roll on your reaction roll, even a devil may be willing to negotiate if they have a different motive, right? But not everything on here generates creatures. You can come across hazards, you could come across new discoveries, things to explore, you can come across hidden treasure, you could find additional resources. So rolling on these tables has a way of kind of just changing up the whole session to surprise everyone involved. Game masters, feel free to play around with this system and let your players play around with it. This is intentionally set up as a D20 table, so you could allow things like fortune effects to occur, because the way that these should be set up is the better results are higher on the roll, and the really bad results are the lowest on the roll. So typically rolling a 1 is going to be a bad day for all of the players, and rolling pretty high is going to be a pretty good day. So feel free to play with the system and make it more dynamic and make it yours. The first section in the Desolation, where probably most players will begin their adventures, is called the Ashen Plains. This used to be a beautiful forest, but has been just devastated by lava, magma, ash. It is now a barren land with black trees and filled with devils and very angry face spirits. A lot of them who have died. So people who are on Team Lumberjack, which is a whole other story and clock and plot line in the Northern Reaches, the Lumberjacks versus the Fays. Well, Team Lumberjack's going to be happy because there's a lot of dead Fae here, and turns out their blood is very valuable. So you can find some of it here and use it to get additional feats and whatnot. The next section, which is a little bit higher level, is the Devil Isles, and this is the along the coast of the Sea of Fire, which is a kind of dark and blackish ocean that homes a couple black and featureless islands. These islands are devoid of most life. There's some structure that remains there, but many things died. The devils typically don't go here too often, but this entire area has been haunted by the countless ships of smugglers and pirates and settlers that were going to Northport have died in. And part of the challenge and problem that this Hellgate represents is that souls that are dying here are not moving on. They're being entrapped by hell to power their forces. So not only do you have devils in this zone, you have a lot of undead. And in the Devil Isles, you actually have fleets of ghost ships that are making their ways about. So players will have to contend with that, as well as just the ocean itself. Players will have to probably bring in their ship or find some other means to travel to these islands. So one of the challenges of the zone is just the environment. Surviving here is just a challenge. On the western side of the map is the Shattered Coast. This is like a high plateau area that has a little bit of mystery to it, in that all signs of civilization have just been completely wiped out. So it's not known if this is because of ramifications from the gate opening, if the severe earthquakes in the area have just like sunken everything down below the earth. It's kind of this area of elemental instability. But within this area are very rare resources that would be useful to players to acquire. So players may explore this area and learn more about the mysteries there and gain some valuable treasure. Kind of more centralized is the Swamp of the Dead. And Swamp of the Dead, think of the Swamp of the Dead from Lord of the Rings if you're a fan of the books or the show. This was a place that was bad before hell opened up. So a long time ago in the Northern Reaches, for reasons as of yet unknown, a massive battle was fought here with a ton of armies, and it was brutal, and people died. Those bodies didn't even really fully decompose. The spirits of all these soldiers were trapped here. This is a bad place. It was like hell before hell opened up. So now that there's a hell gate only a few miles away, this is like super hell. This swamp is so bad that the devils who are from hell invading the mortal realm don't go here because it's bad. And the devil's like, that. Listen, like, we can deal with hell, but we're not going to deal with the swamp. So lots of undead and just badness here. Creepy place. Be careful if you go to the Swamp of the Dead. And then the last main area of the Desolation is called the Pit. And again, another Lord of the Rings reference. Think like Mordor, right? Because there is this black, lifeless land. There used to be a lot of life here, then it all got destroyed. And in the middle of this is a volcano that is just erupting lava and devils. So the Pit is much higher level than some of the other areas here. It is filled with devils and is very inhospitable. But of course, you know, the further you go in, so increase the rewards. Though, I mean, again, when we say high level, we mean it. Even in this area, you can see on this random encounter table here, an adult red dragon may make an appearance. So good luck, party. Hope you are prepared. In addition to those kind of 5 major areas, there's a few smaller areas that we have called out in the main Desolation area. And the first one is the Witchfire Forest. And the Witchfire Forest is kind of a special area. So, this is an endgame zone, as we said, and typically designed for those most powerful characters. But this is an area that lower level characters can come into and explore. So the level range here is about 3 to 5, and much less dangerous and much less filled with devils than some of the other areas. But what's cool about this is you still get to kind of participate in some of the zone-specific systems going on. So, for example, you could still come in here and get some resources if you wanted to start working on that to build up your character. And what's interesting here is while you have a less chance of getting any resources at all, there are more resources available here. So, even if you're not one of those higher-level characters and you're not quite ready now to take that adult red dragon, feel free to bring your character here to kind of get a taste of the Desolation and a little bit safer environment. Not far from the Witch's Forest is a small settlement called Devil's Bargain, and this is actually the only other settlement in the campaign so far besides the main one, which is Northport. Devil's Bargain is a settlement that you use in play, so this isn't something you spend downtime at. This is something that you visit during a session, so a game master is running a game for you. And you can do a couple things that typically you can only do in Northport on your downtime. You can rest at Devil's Bargain, which may seem weird, but given the danger of the Desolation, we wanted to make sure that players had a way to kind of go back and quickly recover without necessarily ending the session. So this is built right into it. It will cost a little bit of lockout time at some of the GM's discretion, but it's a way that if you need to pull back and recover some resources and then jump back into the adventure, you can do it without necessarily ending the session. So you could buy equipment here. You have the ability to buy things that you can only buy in Northport, but because this is basically a smuggler slash pirate town, you can get access to things that are not just in Northport, things that are higher level. It's a difficult chance to acquire these items, and they also cost additional resources, the rare resources that you can find in the Desolation, but it does give you a chance to find an item that otherwise you may not acquire. You can also trade those special resources here at Devil's Bargain. Again, very expensive to do so. It's a 3-to-1 ratio, but if you've just had bad luck trying to acquire some Devil's Tears, well, maybe you can trade something else to get some here. The next kind of special mini zone is the Shipwreck Cove, and a lot of these areas are just kind of thematically interesting or hybrids of other areas, right? So this is kind of a mix of the Ashlands and the Devil Isles. So you'll see some of the resources come from both areas, and you're going to see that it's a little bit more specific in the flavor and in terms of the random encounters. But this is just, allows players more options when adventuring. So the Shipwreck Cove, as you can imagine, is a cove that is filled with all the derelicts and ruined ships, basically that were destroyed when the Hellgate opened. So players will need to deal with that, along with the undead crews that may still haunt them. The Burning Lake is a lake of lava, boiling water, probably a mix of both, in between the Swamp of the Dead and the pit. So if the swamp was super hell, I guess this might be like super duper hell. It's just a bad place. It's a high level range, lots of fire things here. To be honest, I don't actually know how the characters survive here. They reach a level, at a certain point they reach a level where they have the ability to withstand things like fire and lava, so hopefully they come prepared here. And if not, well, I guess that'll be a short adventure. But the Burning Lake is just a bad place to be. So now, in addition to those main areas, and in addition to the smaller, kind of more niche areas, there's also 3 very special places in the Desolation, and they are called the Towers. These towers are very important for the progression of what happens next and how the forces of hell could be stopped. The forces of hell, as we know, are coming through a hell gate deep within the volcano. But getting to that gate and closing that gate are very challenging. Beyond that, the northern reaches has been plagued by a series of red lightning storms. Storms that not only are kind of scary, but also have been causing problems with some divine magic, such as healing and good aligned spells. Basically, casters casting those spells have a flat check to just flat out lose the spell. So those storms and the portal are basically shielded and protected because of these towers. Now, the 3 towers are in different areas in the Desolation, and players will need to overcome them and beat the challenging side. However, they are guarded by the commanders of hell. And these commanders are not just any old typical NPC. As we know, there are 13 branded. 3 of those branded have died or met the end. I know 1 technically retired, but sorry to say that character died. Well, those 3 branded have now become the Forsaken, and they are very powerful foes that have risen up against their former comrades, along with a host of devils or undead, and in order to defeat the towers, they must be defeated. So the 3 Forsaken that the zone starts off with, first in the Ashen Plains, you have Braxel the Unfortunate, once played by Darth Garlock. Now his former lizard character rides an undead drake into battle. And a little background there. Braxel met his end from a drake. So is this drake the one that killed him? I'm not sure, but apparently he took to liking drakes and now leads his host of devils upon his dead drake. In the Devil Owls, there stands a tower, and this tower is protected by Elena the Savage, a former pirate once played by Asian, who now leads a fleet of ghost ships and just terrorizes the Devil Owls. So she is a force to be reckoned with, because before you can even get to her, you're going to have to deal with the fleet of ghost ships at her command. And then, deep in the Swamp of the Dead is a dark, ghostly phantom who once in life, with a single touch, could heal the most grievous of injuries. Now, with that same touch, can completely snuff out life. Helios the Hateful, once played by Frosty, has risen and now commands a legion of dead, ghostly spirits from his tower deep in the swamp. These former player characters are very powerful. These will be special events that the players will have to rise up against. And we're looking to see what happens there, to see if the rest of the community can defeat them. Keep in mind, as I said before, these are only 3 of the 13 branded. So there may be more Forsaken that rise should any of the remaining 10 perish and meet their end. So good luck, players. Now, should the heroes survive all that and make it to Deathfire Mountain, what awaits them there is the next mega dungeon in the northern reaches. Once again, how the players survive this, well, I'm leaving that up to the game masters and the players' creativity, because there's a lot here, and the environment is half the battle. The players will need to explore the depths of Deathfire Mountain, get to the Temple of Asmodeus, break the wards there that seal off the Maw of Avernus, and then finally proceed through a portal into Avernus itself to once and for all break the gate that's allowing the devils to invade the mortal realm. So there is a lot going up against the players right now. But in addition to just those areas, there's many other secrets and sub-areas that can be explored in Deathfire Mountain. And this section of the book is broken out just like the previous section, where each kind of area has its own page with an encounter table and available resources. At the top, you have the cauldron. This is right at the top of the volcano. It's kind of like a staging point for the devils, so lots of devil camps. They prepare here and muster before they move down a volcano into the rest of the land. Very dangerous area, very high level challenge. This will be very difficult for players to overcome. Delving deeper into the volcano, you have a lot of different areas. And one of the things that we tried to do with this design is, we didn't want to make everything fire, ash, devil hell, right? Like that could end up being a pretty boring design. So we really tried to bring in a lot of just different ideas into it. And the volcano is an interesting place because there are a few kind of surprises in here. And one of them is the Silent City, a place that's relatively cool, is a abandoned and buried civilization from who knows when. It was here before the Hellgate opened, and the devils avoid this place. And for good reason, because there's lots of liches running around here. But some of the encounters here are pretty special, such as a library that, if you spend time researching in, you might come across uncommon or rare spells and formulas. So there are reasons to explore here, but again, at great risk and peril to the players. You will also note that if you look at the resource table here, the resources available in Deathfire Mountain are much higher than that of the outside areas, and they also include some of the rare resources. Another section of Deathfire Mountain is the Molten Pass. This is like the lava tubes and just raw elemental kind of natural and elemental place. So not a lot here in terms of devils or in structures, but just raw fury of nature. And it is quite furious. The nature in this area that hasn't been already corrupted is in danger of being corrupted from the raw planar energies of hell. And it's kind of just fighting back against this natural order. So this is a very dangerous area, but it's also filled with valuable resources and mysteries. The Temple of Asmodeus is a very high-level area, technically higher than what we thought the campaign would go to, that kind of sits above them all. And this is one of the key milestones that players will need to overcome to gain access to the maw. It was one of the first structures the devils made when they broke through into this realm. It is filled with devils, as you might expect, rare resources, and also victims being used for sacrifice. There's also contract chambers here, so characters who make certain deals may find a way to break those deals and escape their fate. This next zone is one that I think is kind of fun and unexplained necessarily from the start. Is a mystery. If you're a fan of Jules Verne, you should appreciate this area, and this is the Lost Jungle. Unknown to the players as to why or how, deep within this volcano is a hidden prehistoric jungle, vibrant and filled with life and filled with dinosaurs, as well as some cavemen and whatnot. A very vibrant area and kind of surprising. What mysteries await here? It's up for the players and their game masters to figure out. The next area is the Lair of the Demon Dragon, another very high-level area. And just to be clear, that's not a typo or a mistake. It is a demon dragon. This demon dragon is not, obviously, from hell and does not like the devils. But it did like the volcano and the warmth inside of it. So this was its lair, and now it's rather upset of the invasion of both hell and the players. So basically, the demon dragon rampages through its lair, killing devils and people and anyone else that enters that are not one of its servants. Just causing massive earthquakes and lava to shoot everywhere and just destroying everything in its path. Of course, it is a very large dragon, and so it has a lot of treasure that you can find even on the random encounter table. And some of the fun aspects of these encounters is that you can find this treasure and decide to search for more treasure and get more treasure. However, every time you do that, there's a chance that you get the dragon's notice. So a little bit of a risk there, but a little bit of fun too. So the next area is called the Sea of Souls. This is at the very bottom of the explorable area of the volcano. And this was a large cavern, perhaps once filled with lava. Now it's kind of hollowed out a bit. And this is where the devils are trapping all the souls that they're capturing in the mortal realm. So normally these souls would continue on into hell itself, but the devils are trapping them here to use their power to propel the invasion forward. Players can come here and free these souls, or do what the devils are doing and use the energy of these souls to empower themselves. So what happens, we'll have to see. The final area that starts off sealed is the Maw of Avernus, and this is the foothold. This is where the portal opened from hell into the mortal world, and this is the ultimate objective of the players who wish to stop the invasion from hell. They'll need to defeat the 3 towers. They'll need to overcome the challenges of the Temple Asmodeus, and once here, find the portal into Avernus itself, cross through into another plane, and destroy the portal from the other side. Can they do it? I don't know. One of the interesting things here is, they have a lot of things against them. Not only is this a hard zone to fight in, there's lots of different challenges, but there's also just not a lot of time left in this season. So Northern Reaches plays in season arcs. At the end of the season, that's it for those adventures. And next season is a new adventure. Will often take place in the same world, and you might see some of the same people and threats, but things will change between seasons, and the players will typically make new characters. So who's to say what will happen next? And that's one of the things that, as an Overlord, it's exciting to see. Will players stop hell? If they did, that would have a huge impact on Season 2. If they don't, Season 2 might start off with the players in a brutal hellscape, fighting off these well-established devils now who the players can't even get to the foothold because so many of them are here now. So what's going to happen? I don't know. We'll have to play to find out. So that is the guide for Zone 6, the Desolation. Hope you've enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun putting it together. We're really excited to see what the players and game masters think. We're trying a couple new things here, as you can obviously tell. So always interested in feedback to see what you like, what you didn't like, particularly as we start preparing for Season 2. So on that note, a couple of just reminders. Again, if you're not a member of the Patreon, consider joining. You get access to material like this. You get to play in the Northern Reaches campaign. You also, depending on your rank, if you're champion or higher, get access to some of our PDFs, such as Battle Cry, our new e-zine, and some of our other large documents, such as the Dark of Winter, which was the Knights of Last Call home campaign, and kind of a 60-page document of all the kind of things there that we changed around and played with. So, and those 2 documents there specifically are only available for a limited time. So we are going to be putting those into the vault here in the next week or so as we release issue 2 of Battle Cry. And they may not be available for some time. So if you're interested in that stuff, you should check out the videos or consider signing up for it. Likewise, Northern Reaches will be closing signups here in the next month. So we are planning on halting signups for the campaign around October 15th because we'll be reaching the conclusion of Season 1 shortly thereafter. So if you're interested in joining the campaign and seeing what it's all about, now's the time to sign up. But if it doesn't work out for you and you miss it, don't worry, because Season 2 will be back next year, and new adventures will await. So thank you as always for your time. We hope this was interesting and exciting, and that you guys have a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the Discord, and looking forward to seeing what you guys do in the Desolation. Peace.